name is Dave Reed. I'm a firefighter paramedic and prescribed fire coordinator for South Metro Fire Rescue. Today we're going to talk about municipal fire departments thinking outside the box and utilizing prescribed fire training to prepare its members for wildfire.
Thinking outside the box, using prescribed fire as a wildfire suppression training tool. Centuries before the arrival of early settlers, Native Americans used fire as a tool to improve land for farming, increase the quality of forage for wildlife, which made hunting easier and more plentiful, and to drive animals into traps for harvest. Settlers recognized the benefits of fire and continued many of the same uses. To this day, prescribed fire has become a tool for many land managers to improve habitat and reduce the buildup of hazardous fuels. An emerging use of this tool is preparing fire departments for wildfire response in areas they are mandated to protect. While land management is not within the normal scope of work, wildfire response is. Some departments are partnering with management agencies that do not have the resources to conduct prescribed fire but benefit from its effects, while providing the fire department an area to train department members on the strategy and tactics used in prescribed fire. These same practices are also used in suppressing wildland fires. The definition of prescribed fire is the controlled application of fire to wildland fuels in either their natural or modified state under such conditions of weather, fuel moisture, soil moisture, etc., as to allow the fire to be confined to a predetermined area. Step number 1 is identifying a partner that is willing to provide land for training. For initial projects in a new program, areas that have good access for equipment, a water supply that's close, and fuels that will not pose a fire behavior that can be difficult to hold are primary considerations. All fire that burns outside the property boundaries is considered an escape fire. If these fires cause damage to property or valuable land, a review is conducted to determine if there was negligence on the part of the party doing the burning. An escape is to be avoided, and through good planning, sufficient resources, and adherence to the prescribed fire plan, it should prevent this occurrence. The next step is to develop the initial site plan. The site plan is a general overview of the project area with the property boundaries, burn units, and surrounding areas identified. Once the site has been identified, a prescribed plan is written. The plan will detail objectives, weather and fire behavior parameters, minimum resource requirements, contingencies, medical procedures, firing and holding narratives, photos, fire behavior analysis, smoke analysis, and public notifications. Other aspects are escape fire triggers, monitoring plan, mop-up plan, and complexity analysis. Once the plan has undergone a technical review and approval, the smoke permit is issued. During all trainings, the prescribed fire plan and smoke permit must be on site. Once you have a day satisfying the conditions required in the plan and all public notifications have been made, you are ready to proceed. Set the time for briefing and the assembly point for assisting resources. Brief resources on the training and resource objectives. It's important that you cover the objectives such as starting and stopping points, desired width of control line, safety considerations, water supply, and organization. Provide a thorough safety briefing with all known hazards identified. Record current on-site weather observations, which must be within the prescribed fire plan parameters. Have the resources moved to the location of the test fire and the start of the control line. Once all resources are in position, conduct the test fire. Remember, the test fire is based off the resource objectives and fire behavior predictions. Even though this is a training, the objectives must be attainable or the training may not proceed. A fire department training burn, as opposed to a prescribed burn, may be conducted per the Air Pollution Control Division without a plan or resource objectives, but is limited to 10 acres per project per year. This can limit the amount of training achievable in 1 year, as multiple sites would be needed. With a prescribed fire plan in place, you may burn up to 80 acres a day under the least favorable conditions, a fair smoke dispersal forecasted by the National Weather Service, or up to 150 acres a day on the best conditions of excellent smoke dispersal. The burn boss uses a go, no-go form with required parameters and input from other overhead resources. If all go boxes are checked, the training may proceed. Getting a control line around the selected unit is the priority. This is either a black line created by burning the fuel to a desired width or utilizing an existing controlled line such as a road or trail and making it wider. In both scenarios, a wet line is utilized to contain the fire on one or both edges. This is accomplished by a lead engine applying water to the fuels at a designed width, usually 1.5 to 2 times the height of the fuel being burned. If there is no existing control line, a second engine parallels the first at the desired width of the black line. One engine will follow behind in the black, ensuring all fire remains within the lines. An additional engine is held in reserve to replace any engine that runs low on water. Lighters then ignite the fuels between the wet lines, creating a controlled line that interior fire, when lit, will not cross. These are both valuable tactics when trying to outflank a wildfire, deprive it of fuel as it advances. Here's a black line operation in progress. 2 lead engines wet the fuels behind the engine, and the lighters follow up, burning out the fuels between the lines. Once lit, the fuels burn quickly, going out when the fire bumps the wet line. Here's an example of a black line operation. You've got your lead engine, you have the ignition screw, you have the suppression engine and the backup engine, the patrolled engine, making sure no fire gets outside the unit, and of course you have your completed control line. Once the control line is complete and the edge is secure, it's time to fill the drip torches with fuel, top off all engines with water. This is also a good time to have the crews get some food and water into them before the next training scenario starts. Conduct a training briefing and discuss objectives and the scenario. Brief those that will be starting the training fires, where and how large to make them based on the objectives. Position those engines that will be participating in the scenario and those that will be patrolling the control line. Take current on-site weather observations to ensure the training is still within the prescription parameters, and if so, start the training fire. Now you're ready for the scenario to begin with the initial dispatch report. The size and timing of the initial fire is important. If you make the fire too large, the responding engines may not catch it before it hits the control line. When arriving on scene, the first engine must provide a size-up, request additional resources, deploy other arriving resources, and take command.
Dispatch copies. Approximate half acre, rapid rate of spread. Brush 40, brush 10. Respond in, report of a grass fire. Law Enforcement Academy, rapid rate of spread.
Here you see the first arriving engine pulling in off the road into a safe anchor point into the black. The crew dismounts and will begin suppression efforts, while the engine boss will get out, give a size up, and deploy additional arriving resources.
Copy that. Brush 10. Per command, come in to follow up mobile attack with Brush 18.
In the background you can see the fire moving towards the control line that was put in place prior to this scenario starting. During these scenarios, engine companies practice the bread and butter of fighting wildland fires, the mobile attack. Prescribed Fire presents the opportunity for training on this technique under real-life conditions. Resources are deployed to the flanks of the fire, entering from a secure anchor point and begin suppression efforts. It's important to remember to follow up the initial suppression engine with additional resources such as engines or hand crews. This ensures that all fire line behind the advancing engines has been secured. As the training scenario progresses, the complexity can be increased by introducing spot fires. This forces the incident commander to deal with multiple fires, deploy resources accordingly, and order any additional resource needs. This also increases the complexity for all on the fire, in part to the number of resources now operating. Much closer coordination is needed, and radio discipline must be followed.
Copy that. Brush 43. Report of multiple fires, Law Enforcement Training Academy. Sign with command upon arrival.
As the scenario winds down, supervisors and/or resources working for the incident commander report the status of fire operations, and this is then relayed back to dispatch. These are all important components of a real wildfire call.
Copy, bring Bravo Division Command possession. Bravo Division, we've got fire in these two black areas. We're going to let burn out. Otherwise, we're looking pretty good. Copy, bring possession. Command.
Go ahead.
Got a pretty good handle on this fire. We won't need any further resources. We still have a few active areas of fire, but they're well protected this time. And we end up weather report, I appreciate it.
Copy that. We'll go ahead and cancel the training at this time.
Once the initial scenario has been completed, the unit is squared off and another scenario is run with a different incident commander. The number of scenarios is dependent on the size of the unit. On grass units of 10 acres or more, multiple scenarios are
Brush
possible.
39, brush 40, respond, law enforcement training facility, multiple spot fires, rapid rate of spread.
Here you see instructors lighting the training fires.
Fire will be from the road.
Once the training is complete, all pockets of unburned fuels are burned off. The unit is mopped up with all areas of smoke eliminated. This ensures no public reports of a possible fire to the local dispatch centers. This leaves a finished product for the landowner, one that has been secured. Through these trainings, firefighters receive the opportunity to witness live fire behavior as it relates to weather, fuels, and topography, and practice the strategy and tactics common to wildland fire. Components of the incident command system are utilized to maintain span of control. Position-specific tasks such as incident commander, division supervisor, strike team leader and task force leader, holding specialist, firing boss, firefighters type 1 and 2, safety officer, and engine boss are all utilized, with trainees being mentored by qualified individuals. All training is completed under controlled conditions by subject matter experts. Multi-agency participation allows departments to become familiar with each other's capabilities, allowing for smoother cooperation during real incidents. Lastly, a landowner that does not possess the resources to reduce hazardous fuels or achieve resource benefits receives these benefits at a substantially low cost. So why prescribe fire training? If we continue to send firefighters out to incidents such as these, we need to provide them with the skills and understanding of employing the strategies and tactics that are used in wildfire situations. Through the use of prescribed fire, we can safely and effectively teach them these tools and mitigate the inherent danger of firefighting.
There you have it. That's the nuts and bolts of putting on a prescribed fire training. Remember, follow all the elements of your prescribed fire plan and the training objectives, and always provide for safety first.